What's up, gang? Welcome to module number 5 of the Fat to Fit Coach Foundations of Nutrition course, Creating Habits. So now that you know how to track your macros, we need to talk about how you're gonna hit your macros because it's easier said than done, right? When we talk about dieting, the most important thing, guys, is adherence. And when we're talking about adherence, we wanna create habits to help hack our psychology that helps us adhere better, okay? So what we're going to talk about in this module is how to create small little habits that you can do daily that will help you actually hit your macro numbers. Because what you guys are going to find once you start tracking your macros in MyFitnessPal is that your numbers are not going to be exactly those numbers you calculated in module number 3. They're going to be a little bit off. Chances are you're going to be under on your protein. You're going to be over on your fat, and depending on, where you're at, you might be over in carbs too. But maybe you're under in your overall calories, right? And so these are just all things that we need to dive into and kind of look at a solution for. And a lot of these things can be solved by creating habits to help solve them, right? And so how do we create habits? What is a habit? We kind of hear the word habit and we just kind of brush it off. Most of the time we don't really think about what it is, right? And so what is a habit? Is it good or bad? And a habit doesn't need to be good or bad. A habit just is, right? It's either pushing you towards your goals or pushing you away from your goals. And so every decision you make, right, every habit you create is going to lead you in one direction or the other. And so we want to create habits that are going to lead us in the direction that we want to go. So for example, if you started tracking your macros, you've been tracking for 2 weeks now, you notice that you're supposed to be hitting 150 grams of protein every single day, but you continually are only hitting like 70 to 80 grams of protein every day. And it's one thing to have a coach be like, hey, you gotta get your protein up, gotta get your protein up. Hey, eat more protein, eat more protein. What are you gonna do with that, right? You're not gonna be able to do anything with it because, again, we need to hack the psychology, guys. We need to help you adhere better, not just tell you to do something, okay? And so in order to increase that protein, we need to figure out a way to do that, right? And when we talk about habits, we talk about what habits contain, and they contain a trigger and they contain a reward, right? And so what is that trigger and what is the reward? Well, if you every time you eat, have a dessert after, that dinner eating is in itself the trigger. And so just by doing that, your brain goes, time for that dessert, and that's the reward. Now, the reward doesn't have to be something yummy or fun or anything like that. The reward could be something as simple as you eating protein and at the end of the day, noticing you hit your protein number and feeling good about it because you've hit a goal, right? You've smashed a goal in one day, and so you're gonna feel good about that, and that's that reward, right? It doesn't always have to be, something you're consuming that is the reward. When we create our habits, we want to make sure that we're linking those up, right? We're having a trigger, we're having a reward. So let's go back to our protein example, right? You need to hit 150 grams of protein a day, but you are only getting about 75. So what are some ways that we can add protein into our diet? Well, one thing, we could add a protein shake, right? Or we could try to add a little bit more protein to each meal, right? Say you're having 3 meals and each meal is 20 grams of protein right now. We'll try adding 10 more grams to each meal. It's not a lot. It's not going to seem like a big thing to do, right? We want to make these habits really small and doable things, okay? So let's use the example of a protein shake, right? So we want to create the habit of eating more protein. We want to prioritize our protein. And how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to add a protein shake. How are we going to get in the habit of having a protein shake every day? Something we've never done before, something we're unfamiliar with, right? So how are we going to get in that habit? Well, let's find a trigger, okay? Well, that trigger could be something as simple as waking up, all right? When you wake up, you have a protein shake, okay? So chances are when you wake up, you have something like a glass of water already. So something that you can do with habits is make easy swaps, okay? So now, instead of when we wake up, we're triggered to have a glass of water, we just add our protein powder to that water, okay, and mix it up. And boom, we've got an extra 20 or 25 grams of protein a day. We've created a new easy habit. It's something that doesn't stress our lives out. It doesn't take away, it doesn't take a ton of time. It's easy to do, and it pushes us in the right direction that we want to go. So the reward for that is obviously at the end of the day, you're looking at your numbers and you're like, hey, I hit 150 grams. Heck yeah, that's awesome. I crushed a goal for the day. You can do that with literally anything, guys. Another good example of how to create a habit, if you guys start tracking and you find that you're continually going over on your fat, right? What are some habits we can create to kind of keep that fat down? Well, first we want to look. We want to go, what are some ways we can lower fat? One way, after helping thousands of clients, I've noticed that people tend to pour oil just in the pan when they're using it for cooking. And an extra second or so of pouring could mean an extra 200 or 300 calories easily. And so an easy way, an easy swap to help us create a better habit would be to use the spray can of oil, right? Now, it's still oil, it's still got calories, but we are monitoring the distribution method, okay? So by putting in the aerosol spray can, or don't get the ones with the aerosol spray, they're not good for you. Get the non-ones at Trader Joe's that don't have it, okay? But make sure when you do that spray that it's not super long, because there are still calories in it, but it does monitor, it does regulate our distribution of oil, right? And so right there, we're using far less oil. Our fats are gonna be lower for the day, okay? Another really easy swap. Let's say right now you're eating a whole avocado every day, right? Well, you're already doing that, and so an easy swap would be to have half an avocado. You could cut one up, leave half in a bag, put it back in the fridge. That way you're not tempted to eat the whole thing, and eventually you'll get in the habit and you'll just start having a half all the time. At some point in time, you started having a whole avocado every day and you created that habit. And so in order to reverse that, we just need to add some simple swaps and kind of make some simple changes. And once we do that, we'll create those strong habits. Now, once you guys have these habits in place, you're gonna find that they'll kind of take care of themselves, right? Maybe for a week or two, you'll kind of struggle to get that protein shake in the morning. Maybe you'll miss it once or twice. That's completely okay. When we create these habits, guys, it's not about being perfect. You will mess up, okay? It's about consistency. So if, say we're consistent 5 out of 7 days, that's better than, say you miss a day and you get stressed out and you're like, nah, I'm just not gonna drink my protein shake anymore. I would rather you just get back right on that wagon and start into that habit again. So don't get discouraged if you fail, guys, because I promise you will. Again, just like tracking, this is a skill. Creating habits is a skill. Dieting is a skill. And any skill we're not good at, we have to get better at by doing it. So I promise you guys, as you continue to track, as you continue to create habits, you will get better at them. They will become more consistent and they will become effortless, okay? And that's the goal at the end of the day, guys, is to use these habits to make dieting effortless, to be able to get results, to eat whatever we want without having to stress, without having to take away from our lives, okay? So now you know how to create habits to help you hack your psychology so you could better adhere and hit your macros. When you guys do that, you're gonna have the flexibility to eat what you want, you're gonna have the flexibility to go out to dinner with friends, and it's all gonna be so effortless, okay? So keep track of those habits, keep working on them. Don't get discouraged, okay? Remember, guys, they are a skill. Just like everything else, you will not be the best at it right away. So don't get discouraged. Be patient and stick with it. Next up, in module number 6, we're gonna talk about goal setting. Because now that we have these habits, we wanna talk about our goals so that we can drive these habits forward. Because sometimes it's hard to say, hey, I want a protein shake every morning if you don't have a clear goal in mind for why you're doing it, okay? So in module number 6, we'll talk about goal setting and why we're doing what we're doing.